oil and tar sand and all those kind of things. So we don't need really.
Let's suppose that you become governor right now of Florida. You win. And you come in and you're in your first term. And a year from now, the IMF structurally takes over the banking system throughout the world. By the way, Ellen Brown released on the Huffington Post this morning an article that Latvia and 4 other countries are going bankrupt and Greece is standing up to the IMF. But back to my point, you're in the IMF, which is already what the G20 talks have said that the IMF will be the world banking system. They're proposing to use their basket of currencies and what are they called? Special drawing rights.
Yeah.
And if this unfolds during your term and the dollar is crashed or finished off, do you still see the possibility of having a state-chartered bank in Florida operating? How will it operate? Through special drawing rights?
I
know I asked you the toughest question of all because it's upon us. It's upon us.
Work.
Pardon?
It never work. It went back to the 60s and 70s when they first started. It can never work. Of course, the banking system, they want to do that, to have the monetary control of the world. But it will be the last day of America if that happens. America must be independent. America must be...
From your mouth to God's ears.
Must be prospering. If I get there, I will make sure that the Bank of the State of Florida is created the very next day. I'm hoping that I get the support, and I'm trying to have a good relation. I'm running on Democratic Party, but I'm trying to also connect with Republicans to get their support also, and I'm talking to them too. And
Dr. Khavari, it doesn't, at the end of the day, the whole game in politics is a rigged game. We run these two different parties, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is that they're different faces. They have different ways they go about expressing things. There is this illusion of difference. But when you really come down to it, people are people are people. They have basic concerns. And if that's what you're saying that you're addressing is the basic concerns, it doesn't matter what party you're talking to. I think that's great.
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. I really don't care Republican or Democratic or Independent are secondary. As long as they are human being and American, that's what counts. That's what counts. And so this is people. If people are gone, America is worthless. There's nothing there. And I cannot understand the logic for these people to do that. Because if I was there, I would try to make America as strong as possible monetarily and otherwise, so that we can help the rest of the world. When I went to Germany to study, and a lot of students, they were against the Shah. And by the way, it was a big mistake America did by getting rid of the Shah. That was the biggest mistake. But when students, they come and said to me, Iranian student, let's go and revolt and protest and so on. I said, no, I cannot do it. And I'm not going. First, I don't want to do it. And secondly, I have to help myself be able to do the right thing. So I went and studied. Because if I would not have studied, and other student who went to protest and so on, they never studied and they never got anywhere. So America first, what I'm trying to explain to you is this. We have to first protect America, because that's the only nation today in the world that is still capable of doing a lot of good things. So first we have to protect America, create prosperity, create economic security, create a very solid economic system in the United States, and then we can help other people and other nations by creating the international monetary system and taking over this thing. What can they do? Let's say you had $100 billion in your pocket and you were stuck in Arizona desert, and you needed one glass of water just to save your life, and there is nobody to help you. What good that $100 billion will do for you? And this is what is happening. We have to, I want to be the poorest rich among the richest people, but I don't want to be the richest guy among the poorest people.
That's an interesting distinction. In Chapter 4, you have number 5, making the Federal Reserve Bank effective and purposeful, on page 100 in your book, Towards a Zero-Cost Economy. Now, if you are able to explain to me and to the listening audience how to make the Federal Reserve Bank effective and purposeful, can you try right now and explain it to me? Because for the life of me, I can't figure it out.
Yeah, you see, this is the problem.
Tell us.
Of course, Federal Reserve Bank, we can get, it's a different program you can have for 20 hours and still you won't be able to resolve that issue. Let's say the system exists as it is, and they talk about reducing interest to 0%. You cannot stimulate the economy in the United States even if the Federal Reserve Bank set the rate of prime rate to 0%, because the bank will be charging you 2-3% up to 20-30% on credit card. That is what they are doing, and you will never be able to do that.
I'm confused. Let's go back just for a moment. You kind of lost me there. Okay. I just wanted to take on page 100 of your book, Making the Federal Reserve Bank Effective and Purposeful. And I just wondered if you could translate a portion of it. I realize you wrote an entire chapter on it, but just the essence of that. How you see making the Federal Reserve Bank that prints money and it goes into these lost portals, which they don't have to explain and they don't have to answer to anybody. I mean, even Alan Greenspan, I have a video of him basically introducing the Federal Reserve, letting people know that as long as, they don't question the Federal Reserve, they have the authority to do whatever they want and that they're private, which I think a great part of the public doesn't know because of their name, Federal Reserve. But the reality is you're saying we could make them effective and purposeful. So I'm very interested in your take on how to do that.
Okay. I have to talk about two issues.
Sure.
One, to change the whole system, editing Federal Reserve Bank, because I do not talk about that in my book. I know a lot about it, and I have my opinion about that too. But I'm not talking about that issue.
You're talking about working with them as they are.
Yeah, because if we say, okay, we have to get rid of the Federal Reserve Bank, and that's a different issue.
Right.
Ron Paul is doing that, and you see how far he gets. And,
right.
So what I'm saying is, the way the system is existing, we should work with it. And I'm suggesting to Federal Reserve Bank, even if you reduce the rate to 0%, and you bail out banks, and you give all this fancy money to all these different companies, you are not going to stimulate the economy. What you really should do is this. Practically reduce the rate below zero.
What does that mean, below zero? I don't think I understand that.
No, I'm going to explain.
Okay.
If you go, Federal Reserve Bank could tell commercial banking system today, and that could be a solution, and that could help to stimulate the economy overnight, is this. Say, okay, project like solar energy system or refinancing the existing mortgages or anything of that nature. They would say to the banks, you go and give a zero interest to all these people. 0% to manufacture of solar systems, 0% to mortgages to different homeowners, and so on and so forth. But we understand you have to make some money. We give you 2 to 5% commission on every loans or mortgages you give. And that way you get your money, but you have to make sure that you get the loans and mortgages